Um, I'm thinking about recording this video and talking about that it's recording. It is. I actually think my hands are really big until look, I have a very small face. I'm a very small person. I don't like. Okay. I should reiterate or change my Instagram bio. I was talking with somebody else. It was actually Sean. He doesn't like the Canadian police and he hates British people. So that's what I was talking about. But everything else on there is about me and what I'm currently going through, or like little bit tidbits of my life. Um, but yeah, if anybody was wondering, I did take photography in high school, and they didn't have. I don't think they had enough money for to rent out because some students would steal it and like those like digital cameras. They did have it at one of the courses I took, which was a different art course. It was actually like they taught us how to use Illustrator and Photoshop in that course, and that was um yeah, what I actually took was art and sciences in high school. So those courses were, and somebody told me in high school is the only time you can get take courses for free. After that, every time you want to take a course, you have to pay a fee. So if you want to go to university to learn something, right, you have to pay a fee to take the courses on top of the materials that they hand out. Unlike in public schools, where the materials that you allowed to use are free, except you have to use it within the course time, and you have to have it like signed off by the teacher. So if you have like an art class and you want to use like you want to do extra like if your project was like to finish a painting and you didn't have any materials at home, you could always ask the teacher like if you can use it during one of your breaks or if you could take it home and return it in the next day or something like that. And they'll usually let you. Like with me, I never really had a problem with that kind of stuff. And they usually let us go in the halls and stuff to do like art projects and stuff, so we won't be stuck inside the class all day. So that was good. I remember a teacher made us like make sculptures out of soapstone before. He said it was like a lot of sculptors start off with soapstone because it was really cheap and they are very similar in texture and workability, like I guess malleability to marble, which is what a lot of sculptors used to use back in the day. Apparently marble is very expensive. Like if you get a slab of marble, it's expensive. People have to put on their countertops in their homes. Yeah, a big rock, and cut it, and bring the countertops out. Bring home and put it in the countertop. Yeah, really full. Well, I actually didn't eat enough today. I guess I'm feeling a little bloated. There's a dead bird. I guess I'll show you a dead bird. Excuse me, just for it. There's a dead bird outside the window. But, okay, the thing is, I personally like art. Like, that kind of stuff makes me. Oh, also, if anyone was wondering, all three of us, the kids, had different preferences. And it wasn't because, well, I'm hoping it wasn't because they were trying to copy me or whatever. I think Tiffany was trying to do that so that, like, she was trying to force me to like the same things that she liked. And I'm like, I don't really like that kind of stuff. So I did my own thing. But, it's just weird that she would be offended by it. But apparently somebody told me that's just what Chinese girls are like. I'm like, that's kind of weird. To me, that's weird. I'm like, I don't care if you don't like the same stuff I like, and you shouldn't care if I like different things than you. Like, it doesn't really matter. Super weird. Ugh. Um, found out that one of my cousins was actually an incest baby. And oh my god, I never really thought about that far ahead. I didn't think that would be a problem. A lot of people don't think that would be. Oh, Jesus. Um, yeah, but somebody has also tried to tell me that it's even more of a headache if you're an employer. Some people, like, they can't actually find anybody to work for them, and the job, the position, doesn't really entail that much credentials or eligibility. And some employers, through repeated experiences, have such a bad experience with hiring certain types of people from a certain demographic that they just give up altogether. And they get to be a pain in the ass to work with over time because I guess those are like the abuse tools, you know, like when things get rusted or like when you need to like replace some parts in your car or something, like it costs you a little more money. But from what I've noticed, they are trying to cheap out on their employees. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I'm not sure if they're reporting the income correctly to their supervisors or the accountants or the auditors. I mean, obviously, they're gonna get audited one day. But, oh god, I'm so bloated. Yeah, I was gonna vlog. It's a vlog today. Currently, I'm waiting for the internet to go back up. There's Preston. My sweet little boy. And, some people were trying to tell me that, like, it's not really like that between family members. Like, family members, like, you might not just, like, agree with them, you not always get along with them, or you're not always on the same page as them, but at the end of the day, they're still family. But, what the foster parents did was really fucked up, but apparently that happens quite often in, USA. But the woman said that it was because she had a drug addiction and that actually caused her to do those kinds of things. But it kind of changed her, like, because she has a hard time accepting, like, reality as it is, right? Like, she's like, this is kind of what you did regardless of your health, right? Like, I understand that you are suffering from an addiction and you weren't coming up with a good background either, and this is kind of why people try to prevent kids from going to those backgrounds people, but they still need a place to stay, and you can't, it's hard to find willing people to adopt kids or foster kids or whatever. But I think the difference is that she actually just she chose to foster instead of adopt. That's the only difference. So she didn't adopt those kids. She said she was going to be a foster mom because I guess she like didn't have, I don't know, whatever reason. But anyway, my point is, apparently employers have a very hard time finding employees to work and show up consistently without having high turnover rates, who won't steal from the store, and for the fact that like they're trying to actually actively like enrich the community at the same time with the jobs that they're providing for people in the neighborhood. So I mean, I get that, like obviously the higher authority you are, the more stressful it is and all that kind of stuff, but I think the problem is that like um I guess I don't know. Uh my god. People like I guess they take things for granted without realizing it. That's what I've noticed. Um yeah. Like I thought that like people realize what they had and how like I not in an abusive way. Like obviously I came from an abused background and like I was just happy that they would leave me alone. Which is what a lot of abused people are like. Like they're just happy that their abusers would leave them alone. And that's kind of why it gets kind of hard, I guess, for what a lot of people are saying to like get them to talk to their abusers or like the perpetrators or whatever, to like try to follow those reports and get them to do the right thing because they don't want to because of the things that they've done and continue to do. And I guess a lot of people are like, you have to stop caring about that kind of stuff. But I'm like, what they're saying and doing would irritate me regardless of who it came from. right? Like, it's just something that nobody should be listening to. That kind of stuff is just weird and offensive and insulting. And if I don't respond in any way, they'll hurt me. And which is why I'm like, you guys keep thinking that they're just like unlikable when they're actually dangerous and they're criminals. Like, they'll try to take advantage of anybody that they can't think of or they think they can take advantage of. And they'll try to, like, I don't know, hurt people if they don't get their way, which is like, I was thinking about before, like, what if I have married some guy and I have kids with him and everything was fine until I had kids? I don't know if this is true for every married couple. A lot of people end up in divorce even if they have kids, and don't. Not that the kids are the problem, but as in like the guy starts like getting weirdly possessive and mistreating the kids and is affecting their marriage, or like what if he wants to marry one of the kids, or like they get old enough and they think it's okay to rape their kids or whatever. Just that kind of stuff gets brought up, and I don't think that kind of stuff is okay. Personally, I'm like, you know what? You can't do that to your kids because they're kids, and I get that. Like, if they weren't your kids, you would be doing that kind of stuff. But they are your kids. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, as a person, I get that, right? Like, just as a person to person kind of stuff. But like, as a like, since I know that those are your kids, that's not okay. And I think that's why I was getting a lot of backlash from a lot of people who were like, I guess they did that to their own kids, even though I was just a foster kid. They did that to their own actual blood kids, and their spouse was equally supportive of that kind of stuff. Before, some people got their kids taken away through CPS. Some people, nobody, like, they just kind of try to hide it. But like, I think at the end of the day, like, they were trying to take it out on me, saying, "You're not okay with it. Like, why?" Because their kids won't talk to them anymore because of what they did. And they're like, you're just a foster kid, like, why aren't you okay with that? Like, you should be glad that, like, they even gave you a place to stay and gave you food or whatever. And I'm like, that's the face I make when I hear that kind of stuff from people. And I'm like, well, I don't know how would you respond if somebody was saying that to you? Right? You wouldn't respond very well, which is why you're like that. Like, I don't take it personally. Like, I don't really care, but I don't like listening to that kind of stuff. And obviously, like, I don't want my day ruined by some idiot who has too many opinions and can't tell the difference between opinion and fact or fiction and fact. Right? Like, it's too much. Honestly, I'm just like, I can't. Like, I don't want to, and I feel like they're parent, and like, I'm not gonna help that person out or whatever. And I just kind of like end up just like ignoring them. It's just weird. And a lot of times, like, I don't really understand like why people can't admit that they're in the wrong. Like, they've never made mistakes in their life and they're a perfect human being. Like, anyone believes that. Nobody believes that, okay? I know you may consider yourself or see yourself or hope that you see yourself as one, and you think other people do, but trust me, they don't. Nobody sees you as a perfect person. The people who do this crap. Everybody knows what you're like the minute you walk in the room, and that's why they treat you that way. And this is a universal thing. Like, this is a very human, universal thing. I'm sorry to say, like, it's hard to hide who you are, and people's responses are instinctive and uh, experience-based. And you know what? I get that, like, having HIV is hard, and you feel like you're alone, and like it doesn't feel fair to you, right? But you know, like, I've never met a person who has HIV who was a good person. That's my personal experience. I've never met a person who had HIV who was a good person. And all these friends that they talk about are people that they took advantage of. And there's always all these conspiracy theories and myths floating around saying HIV wasn't invented, or there's a cure for it, the government just doesn't want to release it. I've actually started to notice a pattern with people who are infected with the kind of diseases. And it has something to do with their behavior and the rate of infection. It's called epidemiology, okay? It's a study of infectious diseases and at the rate at which it spreads and the populations that it affects. It has a lot to do with demographics. It has a lot to do with poverty and income and backgrounds and ethnicities, okay? Some populations are more impacted by certain diseases than others. That's true. But from what I can see, people with HIV, they have always stolen something, they refuse to return it, and the people have to come in with hazmat suits to tear them down. And they always use their something as an excuse as to why they're doing well. Like, oh, my mom was mean to me, or like my friends just don't like me, like this is why I feel like shit today. When honestly, it's because they're kind of a shitty person. I mean, they should feel like shit because they're a shitty person, but they never actually take responsibility for anything. Anything that they should be responsible for, they don't take responsibility for. Which is why I personally don't care for them. Anyway, I found out racist people are a pain in the ass for everyone. Not just the person that they're racist towards. Like, they're literally, like, they are apt to steal, they think they have rights over other people's things for no reason, and it affects every race, but they claim that they hate a specific race. That's, like, this is from every employer that had to hire a racist person. They're problematic. Even if it doesn't show up at work, it affects their personal life enough for it to affect their work. And I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, I met a girl with a woman with HIV who stole a dog, who has had people tell her repeatedly, and she wasn't even hiding it. And she wasn't even hoping that it was her dog or whatever. Like, she was just like upset about the fact that the dog didn't like her very much and wouldn't want to like. She didn't like the dog didn't consider her to be the owner, and I'm like, it's because you stole that dog. Like, I don't understand how many people have to tell you this. Like, it's clearly not your dog. You know that it's not your dog, and like even the dog doesn't respond to you normally. Like, why do you keep thinking that it's your dog? But yeah, I've had a lot of problems because I was associated with Susan, but other people try to play it off as if they were in the same situation. But as it turns out, like, they actually were just lying about the entire thing, and they're just using that as an excuse to like be racist, which the employers found out about, obviously. And I'm like, oh, also, I actually applied for a job at a dog groomers, and she's like, can you get a groomer certification? And I'm like, I can if I get the job. And she's like, no, you have to get it before and then apply and hope that you get the job. I'm like, do you hear yourself? I'm not saying she's a bitch, but I think if she was a dog, she'd be a bitch. But like, I'm like, it doesn't even make sense what you're telling me. Like, if I need a certification for this, then why would I get it if I wasn't gonna work as a dog groomer? Well, I'm just gonna get a certification because you told me to get a certification, so that I can just reapply and you tell me that you're not gonna give me the job. That doesn't make any sense. Like, what's wrong with you? But anyway, I don't particularly care for a lot of people. Like, I'm not gonna be. Look, the thing is, I actually don't know a lot of people personally, but I can just see from the way they're doing and how they're working and the things that they support. I'm not gonna like them. You know, and it has nothing to do with race or ethnicity or demographics, because that's really superficial. It's superficial and it's trivial, and it makes no difference whatsoever in what a person is, or what type of person that is, like who that person is as a person. I'm sorry to say, things aren't that simple. I mean, would it be nice if it was? My feet are cold, I don't have a pair of socks, and down to my last clothes on my back. But yeah, basically my entire like problem is that I don't believe Susan, but she's like, I just, every time I'm with her, I'm just angry, and she just scares me that she's very volatile. You know what I mean? Like, nothing ever like comforts her, and everything just sets her off. And she's very dumb. Like, she's the dumbest person I've ever met in my entire life. And I have no idea why that is. Like, why she's so dumb. But she's a dumbass. And that's what they're like, and I don't know what to do with it because I fucking hate her. And she owes me money, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to like contact the authorities, but they're also as dumb as her. Surprisingly, and I'm like, that's really dumb. This is fucking dumb or stupid. So I don't know what to do about that. But like, I don't know what the purpose is. I think I would have been better off if it was dumped to another couple. Like, I don't think their interference was beneficial in any way, shape, or form. And everything that they're involved with, they're always ruining some aspect of it. So it's like kind of hard to even like, you know? If you notice an issue with the automatic stop now, and they're always trying to get me to internalize their guilt and their shame and the fact that like I'm the bad person, which is why they're suffering. And I'm like, what kind of Chinese bullshit is that? Like, I don't know why I should care. Because it has nothing to do with me, and you just keep blaming me for things that aren't even true. And some of it was entirely your responsibility, so I don't know. But that's just me. Like, I'm having a hard time trying not to respond to people who are sexually harassing me. Who have a hard time understanding that those things aren't okay. Like, it's fucked up what they're doing, and I get that they're lonely and frustrated, and a lot of them are treated very well because there's a lot of jealous people out there, and also like their jobs aren't the greatest, and they don't make that much money, or they don't believe that they make as much money as they should, yada 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 yada. Yeah, I don't care. I don't give a shit, okay? Like, literally, like, you need to get your shit together, get your act right, and like, can you just... This is the thing that I don't understand. I'm like, I thought we all wanted to be a part of humanity and make sure everyone has a great day. Like, what is happening with that? Everyone has their own ideas about what's good and bad, and like some of them are just wrong. Everything they do is wrong, and their opinions are just wrong. This is not okay. And not to mention, it's like, okay, like not only are you just wrong about everything, but like you keep thinking that's making you happy, but it's clearly making you miserable. But you're wrong about your own feelings and perceptions too, which is insane. So I'm like, were you in prison or something? Like, that's kind of fucked up. But yeah, I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, I mean, like, Susan's the type of person to like literally stalk me and hunt me down and like throw a punch at the back of my head in the middle of the night. Yeah, she's that type of person. I have no idea how they even gave her me to her for adoption. I think they're lying about that. I think they kidnapped me. And like I think they were like using the government stipends they're getting from me and my inheritance on themselves so they can purchase property and like live off of that. And I'm like, I hope you guys literally drop dead. Somebody was trying to convince me that David Nagy was still alive, and I'm like, I don't think he's still alive. Like honestly, I think somebody's trying dead. Honestly, like I don't think he's alive anymore.
How to stop the spread of COVID-19. Please wash and sanitize your hands frequently and avoid touching your face.
Yeah, somebody told me he tried to like illegally immigrate into the USA, like try to cross some borders or something. It was unauthorized, and they were got an alert on him or something, and then he got shot on the site. And I'm like, that's fucking hilarious, and it made my day. I'm like, yes. But like, other than that, like, I don't know if it's true. I never saw his dead body. Yeah. Somebody got repoed. A lot of people got repoed, and they're blaming me for it. And I'm like, I hope you get justice revoked on top of that. It'll all be coming in a row. Yeah. I have no idea why Susan's so actively involved in trying to ruin my life. But that's what a lot of women have tried to tell me. She doesn't think that she's ruining my life. She thinks she's better in her life. And she thinks that's making her feel better. She doesn't notice how awful she looks. She doesn't notice how fat she's gotten. And she doesn't notice the amount of heroin she's been doing. And she doesn't notice that, like, her car is in a terrible condition. Everything's very decrepit. And she doesn't even sleep. Like, there's something wrong with her. I have never met a person who didn't fall asleep after a few hours, but her? There was a man who told me that's what cockroaches are like. They don't ever sleep. I thought that was weird, but they're like, there are people like that too. They don't sleep. They never sleep. That's why their eyeballs go weird. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yep. Outside of that kind of stuff, like, it's because they don't ever fucking sleep. And she's trying to tell me that she's the good looking one and I'm the ugly one. And I'm like, I'm not 2 years old. Like, she used to just make me cry for no reason when I was a kid. Because she just thought that it was funny and she just wanted to take pictures of me crying all the time. And I was like, why would I? Like, intentionally, she'd be really mean to me and make me cry all the time for no fucking reason. And she completely forgot about what she was doing when I was like when she had me when she was like younger. She forgets about everything she's done, and she thinks that like all that kind of stuff doesn't matter. For whatever reason, like she thinks that she has rights over everybody. And I'm like, and she always blames other people about why things are going wrong, like trying to deny the fact that she had direct involvement in it. Right? And I'm just like, and it's not something minor, like it seems like it's minor, but it's like, why did you stalk me all the way from a different city and then lie to everybody in the neighborhood and file false police reports? And try to make it look plausible by saying that you've been living with me for a long time and telling somebody else's situation and say it was me. That's a crime. You're gonna get investigated for that. Like, don't you care? And she's like, that's you. You're gonna get investigated for it. Like, I don't get that. Like, that's just what you're gonna go through. And her teeth was falling out. And I'm like, your health is failing, you're obese, and you're in a lot of debt. And she's like, no, that's you. You know what? I don't care. Like, it's you. You're the problem. And I'm like, why are you like that? Like, can you just leave me alone? And she's like, no, like, I have to keep looking after you because I'm your mom. Okay? And I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you, stupid bitch? Leave the fuck alone. And then when she actually finally figures out what she's done with her life, she actually physically just hurts me because she's embarrassing shame, so she just punches me repeatedly.